What's good, everybody? It's your boy DJ McCree of Trap Camp ENT, and today we're going to be talking about mixing and mastering FL Studio. I'm going to play a track. The track itself is not mixed and mastered, but no, it's mixed. It's mixed and mastered, but it's not done properly. So I'm just gonna go ahead and play that track. And 3, 2, 1 is something me and Dubs did together. So in 3, 2, 1, it's coming in hot. Let go. 3, 2, 1. Alright, so basically, I have a terrible master rack. Well, it's not really terrible, but it was pretty good for its time or whatever, for what I was doing. I lack the concept of, dang, I just ran right into my chains. I lack the concept of knowing how to deal with dynamic range in its rarest form or in its best form, because I lack the knowledge of how Maximus works, which I'm going to talk about Maximus not so much in huge detail because I don't want to fully confuse everybody. There's so many concepts of and multi-band compression, because there's so many concepts of compression in general that it can be rather confusing, and I just rather just show you MIDI my way of doing it, which I'm just gonna go and select presets, default, set it to default, and just tell you a couple of basic things, and it's keeping it simple in autonomy of sound. So what is dynamic range? Dynamic range is a presence or a loudness that a track would appear in a actual beat, or actual the frequencies in a beat. So basically, dynamic range in general is just making a track loud in its proper form. So basically, there's one way of doing this, and the way I'm doing it now, and I have it set on default in Maximus, and we're gonna just play the track, and I'm gonna play the track from right here. Basically, I'm gonna play it, and I watch the meter, watch the decibel meter. Most people, most engineers, when they would get a mix, they would work on a mix or whatever, because most engineers, when they're mixing and mastering, they're giving a whole bunch of tracks that's probably already been mixed, but they haven't been mastered. And usually, what they do is they're trying to level out the loudness. Now, loudness in general, people in theory believe that louder is better. Now, what I say by louder is better, you got to think of the concept of people actually listening to their music. Most people listen to their music loud. Well, really, if it's rock and roll, hip hop, classical music, most people enjoy their music at louder settings. So, for the most part, the majority believes that louder is better. So the thing is controlling that loudness and making it dynamically pleasant to hear. So that's dynamic range. So we're actually just playing the game with the loudness war. In general, the loudness music has gotten louder over, and the mixes of music have gotten louder over the years. Back in the day, it used to be -6, and then it used to be 0 dB, which is basically where I have it at now. This particular setting is basically called brick walling in the musical world amongst engineers. And reason why it's called brick walling is because the ratio itself, which in particular in Maximus, is a knee, which is a graphical knee. So set it, I guess 0 to 1 or whatever. Brick walls it right here because it's not allowing any of the transients to pass past 0 dB without having compression, which is pushing the sound back down or smushing it or sausaging the sound, as represented right here. And I'm going to go ahead and slow that down real quick. But as it's slowly passing by, you actually can see the actual compression right here and the actual points of its real loudness. Its real loudness is at 3. It's above 3 decibels. Easily. About maybe 3.1. So, in general, louder is better, but, having it like this flattens it out. And, when you brick wall, and a lot of people's like, man, well, I could just throw this Maximus on there and it will sound great at 0 dB. But if you listen to this, it's flat. Now, this could be either a good thing or a bad thing. It's kind of the reason why a lot of engineers brick wall, because most engineers, or I guess I couldn't say most, but a lot of professional, quote-unquote, engineers believe that most people in general will end up EQing in their car, just adding bass, adding treble, or adding bass, adding treble. I guess I don't know what the in-between thing will be. Or add lows or mids and highs themselves within a mix. And so what this is doing is it's sausaging all those other frequencies in the actual mix, the lows and the mids and highs, and keeping them all at 0 dB, keeping that track flat. And that will answer somebody else had a question of talking about my mix. How do I keep my mids and highs flat? And there you go. That's one of the methods that I choose to do. So, all right, moving on to the actual settings here, and I'm going to start for the master settings. We're going to actually look at these knobs because they pretty much don't change from different areas. They just had these different areas from low, mid, high. Just represent separate things versus the master. So you have what you call your pregame. So you're pushing in pregame. You actually can see this little red line here. Purple line that is representing where how loud the transients or frequencies are in the actual mix. So you can see it going from 9 to 6. So it's represented by that purple line. And the post where you can see how loud it is after the fact. So if you set if you actually mix the sound. Mix the track or the beat, and you want it to sit beyond 3 decibels. You can push it up to 6 decibels, and it'll be hitting at 6 decibels on the dB meter. And you might want to pay close attention to this because the way you order this is very important. I don't really have anything going on in here. If you see, I had an extra video where I actually talked about this. And I'm going to actually talk about that within Maximus because it has some of the same features, basically. So, moving on. So, the way attack works is a little different from any other attack-based ADSR. The attack, if you push this attack parameter all the way to the right, it will act turn this into basically a noise gate. So it will actually, the sound of transients or the song beat or whatever that is playing the actual sounds, will come out and play just like it is represented in this graphical slope. So yeah. So in general, you might want to just go ahead and turn off or turn all the way to the left, turn the parameters to the left, so that you're turning off, so you don't have to deal with that at all. It will not affect your track any other way. Just saying. Just keep it simple as possible. Release, however, has a very particular effect. And let me turn that. release has a very particular effect of where if you have it pushed all the way to the left, all the way to the right, you will have no distortion. And this is how you get rid of your distortion. If you have it to the left, you're adding a little distortion, which is kind of suggestive, and you can kind of hear it, and it's kind of represented right here. You can see the actual that is distorted right now. If I move this release to all the way here, the lines are thinning, saying I got rid of the distortion. So keep in mind that that's what that is for. So you might not want that. And these are basically something of this graphical EQ right here. So now I just changed this to bands. The bands what these are frequency bands. So these frequency bands basically represent either the low, mids, or highs. This right here in particular is how you move your shelves to the left and right. And you actually what would actually help you benefit you from doing that is looking at this. So the brighter the sound is, I'm gonna go into the next feature. The brighter the sound is, the more you need to move these knobs over to this particular frequency. And this is the mono and stereo, which you might not want the mono, your master. You probably might want to stereo it because it's kind of thick. It kind of adds spreads the presence of the actual frequencies in your headphones or in speakers or in however else you will listen to your music. And this is basically your saturation or your threshold and all that. The release 2, don't even mess with that. It's a different kind of envelope, and you have to set it, and I forgot how to set it to where you can actually use that. All right, so now let's go to the basic. Another thing that you actually can do is you can actually solo the actual shelf. And remember, I was talking about how you would set the different frequencies in the actual sound. So we're looking at the basic spectrum of the lows. So you're looking at that, and you see that there's a lot of low presence here. But what you also see is that the most prominent area where your lows, mind you, I say lows, needs to be adjusted to right about here. So you adjust it right here. Now, remember, I also said something about brick walling. Now, brick walling will cause your actual overall mix to be flat. It will sound very lifeless because your frequencies are not able to, what I would like to call, breathe or flow through your actual through the spectrum, which is very important because your bass will not hit hard at all if you want it to hit hard. And so that what you have to do is you have to invite more of the ratio or the actual transient into your knee. And once you do that, you will invite more bass. As you can see, I have more low frequency now. Now that my low frequency is hitting. Now my bass is hitting at 4 to 1.5. That is actually better. Now what will make it better, even more awesome, is if I add some expansion. Now basically what expansion is this. You're going to hear expansion. Because if we're going this way, you'd be compressing the sound. And I want you all to keep in mind, if you do this right here, it represents that it's not being compressed at all. So, yeah. So, once you do this right here, you're expanding. And this is what happens when you're expanding a whole lot. can hear the expansion. The transients are being expanded a little further. Now, yeah, you really couldn't. I guess I couldn't hear it. Yeah, it's kind of weird, but yeah, it's definitely expanded. So when you add more of that, you're actually inviting more of your transient or your actual sound or your low end into the actual track. You can actually hear it. It's thumping much harder now. Oops, I still oopsie. Let me go ahead and put that back to normal there. So yeah. So now that the bass is hitting a tad bit harder now, it will go to your best interest to actually raise it. Now, we was talking about how brick walling at 0 causes it to be flat. Now, raising this bar right here actually causes, raising the knee actually causes, allows more frequencies to move. So now I'm able to invite more of my lows in to my master. And, oops, I did that in the highs. Oops. So let me go ahead and go back. Sorry about that. I've been a little cross-eyed. I've had a computer crash on me a few times during this tutorial. So you're adding more presence to your sound, so you actually have more decibels and more room in your knee, so you're allowing more transients to come through. And if you have a UV meter, or I guess a UV or a peak meter, there we go, you will actually see that you actually are allowing your kicks to be in the red. Damn it. There we go. You know, so if I move this down right now and have it as right here. Now, I don't have anything, but it'll be at that. But now that I raised it to 6, and we look at this now, look what happens to the decibel, the dB meter. Now that might be a little bit too harsh. I think that's a little bit too loud for your master setting. So I'm just gonna move it down just a taddy. Yeah, there we go. Let's see what it goes. Okay. So now it's not as crazy on the low end. I could actually just move this down now and play it from here. And now it's not. It still has its girth, and if I take that off, yeah, you can see that, you know, the dynamic range is getting there. Now, what you really want to do when you do lows is you want to mono this right here, the mono this area, and move it all the way to the right. This stereo separation knob. Yeah, there it goes. The stereo separation knob. You actually stop low frequencies from interfering from your mids and highs. So basically, you're keeping it from phase cancellation or muddying the actual mix, which people use the word muddy a lot more, I guess, but it's basically phase cancellation. This is why your track will go blah, 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 because it's actually merging with adding or causing or actually subtracting harmonics, which is actually kind of a form of a way that you do stuff in additive synthesis. But anyways, back on track. Working with mids, I'm kind of I'm particulous about my mids. I usually raise my mids because that's basically your presence, and we're gonna go and listen to that. And I'm gonna listen to it beforehand. But as you can see, versus the lows, you can't hear nothing but the lows. The mids has much of the body of the sound. So we're gonna raise that. The highest has a teeny bit of resonance that you would like to have. Sometimes I raise it a little higher. And one of the more interesting things about working with this particular plugin Maximus, as I say a million times. This low being right here, this mid is going to be the highest part of your mix, and this will be in the middle part of your mix, if that makes sense. And representative of this will be in the middle, since that you have this push mono into the middle. So that will sit it will actually sit how it's represented. So if you actually listen to the frequencies, and then if you listen to the master. So yeah, that. So try to kind of mix it up in order. I particularly say that you do not want your lows louder than your mids, because I don't know. It by personal preference, I don't know. It just does not sound good to me. See how high the lows are now that you must, and this is actually representative of the preset gain. So you pushing it up, it's pushing up the preset gain, the pre-gain, and so you see that right there, and you actually see it represented right here in the lows. So go ahead, play it. And you can see the little release there. You can actually add a little distortion. Okay. Which kind of adds a little roar to your low end, and that kind of works along terms with saturation as well. Okay, now I'm overcomplicating how to keep this simple, but yeah, that's pretty much basically it. And it's not that difficult, you know. Other than, you know, just leveling your actual sounds, but this actually holds your track together, so that in general that your dynamic range of your track or your song or whatever doesn't become overbearing when it gets louder. You know, where your highest reach the plateau of the actual tweeter before you actually get turn the volume up, or you know, or your mids don't have enough presence, or your lows might overtake the sound and bust the speaker, and you know that's basically it right there as far as controlling your transients and stuff like that, so that you actually can have a good mix in FL Studio. You know, just using Maximus for that, and this is actually, you can use this on separate tracks. I actually tend to use this on kicks, on kick drums, when I want kick drums to have a presence. You can basically select preset C, which is actually the same thing as doing a sound goodlizer, but is a better representation of it, which gives your kicks a good nice presence in the track. And you'll start with your low, and it adds a great dynamic range to that kick, particular kick in general. I don't use it for anything else but that in this, and yeah, that's it. So, you know, if you have any comments, leave your comment. If you haven't subscribed, I suggest you subscribe, and if you have a comment or a question, just please ask me, and please like this video. Hopefully I covered everything and I didn't just overblab. But this is your boy DJ Av, and I'm out.